on October 7, 2025. That said, in both private communications and public pronouncements, we note that SCE has offered to appear on KBLA Talk 1580 to address the Altadena community regarding its fast pay program, which was discussed in depth at last night's gathering. We would like to accept SCE's offer and invite you, Mr. Pizarro, to appear on KBLA's nationally syndicated radio program, Tavis Smiley. The show broadcasts weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are happy for you to choose any day, any hour for a live in-studio conversation. Please let us know which day and time work best for you. We look forward to welcoming you to our studios in Leimert Park. Sincerely, Tavis Smiley, founder, Smiley Audio Media, Inc., Chief Visionary Officer, KBLA Talk 1580, host, Tavis Smiley. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
The blackness, keep on. Never say die, keep on. The blackness, keep on. Never say die, keep on. The blackness, never say die, never say die, keep on.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent, right here in the chair, live in LA. You are listening to A More Perfect Union, and I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. And there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app if you haven't already. That way you can listen to us live or on demand, or just tell Alexa, if you're feeling fancy like that, tell Alexa to play KBLA 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you can stay in the know. There's so much good conversation that's happening with folks here on the show that we want to make sure that we're keeping you in the know. And speaking of staying in the know, y'all know we've been looking for Pedro. Have you seen the hashtag that was been trending, looking for Pedro? We've been looking for Pedro Pizarro, the president and CEO of Edison International. And, you know, the same Edison International that folks have been talking about as it relates to the Eaton fire, the calamity in Altadena. Well, we've been looking for Pedro because Pedro said he was going to talk to us, and Pedro has not talked to us yet. Well, at least not until now. Got a little bit of an update. Pedro Pizarro, the president and CEO of Edison International, he showed up late this afternoon, reaching out directly to Tavis Smiley, and Tavis is going to address his interaction with Mr. Pizarro on First Things First with Dominique DePrima, Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific. And so if you've been following this closely, you may want to tap in on Wednesday, November 12th at 8 a.m. Pacific to get Tavis's update on his interaction with Mr. Pizarro. We hope that it will materialize into a conversation related to some of the issues that folks have raised. Because the people of Altadena deserve nothing less than being able to talk with the leadership of Edison International about what they say they're doing to help them. And so we will be listening tomorrow on First Things First with Dominique DePrima at 8 a.m. Pacific. We'll be listening to what Tavis Smiley has to share with us. In other news that's relevant to the community, I just want to give a big hat tip to SZA, because SZA has partnered with a very special LA restaurant to me to provide free meals to SNAP recipients. SZA posted quotes, "Y'all know how much I love John and Vinny's. But it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. Last week, SZA reached out with the idea, and now with her help, it's a reality. Over the next 7 days, John and Vinny's, they're partnering with her, not charity, to provide 1,400 free meals. That's 100 dinners for 2 days, 2 per day, for LA community members who receive SNAP. Each meal will be available as takeout from the Slauson location, one of my favorite locations, by the way, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., November 11th through November 17th. And so if you email notcharity@johnandvinnys, that's JONANDVINNYS.com. That's notcharity@johnandvinnys.com to sign up for a meal, up to 4 allowed per family, and their team will assign you a pickup time. Spread the word to those in need. Big thanks to SZA, to the folks over at John and Vinny's for inspiring folks to show up and help their neighbors, right? This is what it's all about. And so, makes me love SZA even more. I'm going to listen to some SZA in the car on my way home because of news like this. And I may pop by John and Vinny's while I'm at it. And so show love to the folks who are showing us love. When we come forward, we are switching gears. I'll be joined with Terrence Woodbury, who is the co-founder of Hit Strategies. We're going to be talking about some of the politics around this shutdown bill, really this bill to open up the government after 40 days and 40 nights of it being shut down. We're going to talk about the politics of that and more. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Here for the Lowe's early Black Friday deals? You're right on time for some of our biggest savings. We're talking up to 50% off select major appliances, plus up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Holiday lights going up soon? Select ladders are up to 50% off right now. Get Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 11/19. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
This Thanksgiving at Total Wine & More, find bourbons and Cabernets that you adore. Our helpful guides are so friendly and nice. So many bottles to try at the lowest price. So gather with friends as you sit down to eat. Grateful for all who made Thanksgiving complete.
With curbside pickup and delivery available and the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and always delighted to welcome Terrence Woodbury. He is the co-founder of Hit Strategies. He's one of the nation's most sought-out pollsters. If you're looking to have your finger on the pulse of what folks are talking about, particularly Black folks, particularly millennial folk, and Gen Z folk, then you need to be talking to Terrence Woodbury, and we're glad to have him here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Doctor.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We have so much to talk about. First things first, we got to talk about this shutdown. Government shutdown politics abound. At this hour, we know that the Senate last night, they passed a bipartisan bill that would end the government shutdown with support from not 1, not 2, not 5, not 6, but 8 Democrats and the backing of President Trump. The bill now heads to the House for a vote as soon as tomorrow. I don't know about you, but just watching the social media response to this shutdown bill doesn't look so good for Democrats, especially Democrats who just a week ago swept in the November elections, from folks running for governor and folks running for mayor and, city council. They just swept. And how come that wasn't enough to persuade these 8 Democrats to continue to fight?
Well, Doctor, when I talked to voters and focus groups just over a week ago, right before the last election, I was talking to them about the shutdown and the perceptions of the shutdown, what they were hearing, what they perceived. And frankly, one thing I was discovering there was that this is the first time during this second Trump term that Democrats have actually broken through, that their message was penetrating. Voters understand that the shutdown was about healthcare prices. They understand that the shutdown was Democrats holding the line to protect the American people. And that is, I think that they were rewarded for that on election day, where we saw Democrats overwhelmingly successful. Since then, I think that this continuing resolution is generating quite a bit of frustration amongst the base. I think, policy and politics is as much about what you do in that chamber with the votes as it is about what you explain to the American people. And it is incumbent upon Democrats right now to explain why they are taking the position that they're taking, and how this is going to help to continue to cap people's concerns about rising premiums. What I will say is that the Black folks in Congress are holding the line. The Congressional Black Caucus understood the assignment and are united to vote against this. We saw Hakeem Jeffries put out a statement yesterday that says that he would be voting no on the Senate resolution, and all 3 of the Black Democrats in the U.S. Senate voted no. And so I do think that we see unity amongst the Black members of Congress. I expect to see unity amongst the Democratic caucus in the House, and I expect the Democrats in the Senate to explain themselves to the American people.
Can the Democrats in the Senate explain themselves to the American people? I mean, what could they say based on some of the insights that you've gleaned from some of the polling that you've done? What could they say that would break through the noise and would convince people, that, look, this isn't a great deal, but it allows the government to open. It allows for government workers to get pay, including their back pay. It allows for, SNAP benefits to continue to flow, and for Democrats to fight another day. Is that persuasive enough, given the disappointment and, quite frankly, the betrayal that we're seeing communicated by the Democratic base?
Yeah, Doctor, I've been encouraging Democrats in the House and Senate since January to not operate as the minority party, but to operate as the opposition party. Right. And so opposition requires a couple of things. It requires voting no. It requires opposing things that hurt the American people, but it also requires presenting an alternative. And so I think Democrats in the Senate must explain to the American people, 1, Democrats do not control the House, the Senate, or the White House. And in this position as the opposition, we will hold the line where we can. We will negotiate and compromise where we can. And the best compromise that we can get in this moment, Republicans are prepared to continue this shutdown that they have caused, the longest shutdown in American history, and is beginning to take food off of children's tables, that in this moment, the best compromise we could make was to guarantee SNAP benefits for the next year, so that even if we shut down again at the end of, in the next 2 months, that we have guaranteed SNAP benefits until we take control of the Senate in 2026. And I'm sorry.
Is that within reach, taking back the Senate, especially in light of what just happened? Is that within reach, taking the Senate back in 2026?
I think it's within reach when they begin to bring the American people along this journey with and explain to them what is happening. That because Republicans control the House and the Senate, we've guaranteed SNAP benefits to the end of the year, and we have guaranteed a vote on healthcare premiums where we have already whipped votes from our Republican colleagues that we know we can get this across the finish line.
So Terrence, our friend, the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta, didn't mince words when there were rumors of this deal, of this agreement being made between Senate Dems and Senate Republicans. And he pushed back and he said, going along with this pinky promise from Republicans promising a vote on ACA subsidies, he wasn't buying it. And there's a lot of people that aren't buying it. Yesterday, I saw Speaker Johnson making his rounds on cable news, and he was saying, I'm not saying that they're going to get a vote in the House of Representatives. That's a completely different chamber. Are Democrats running the risk of being played in an epic sort of way that will essentially make Donald Trump and House and Senate Republicans' hand much stronger heading into 2026?
Look, I think that a date for a vote on healthcare premiums, that I am pretty certain that there are Republicans that do not want to see their constituents' premiums doubled. There are Republicans on record saying that they do not want to see these healthcare premiums increase. I think that getting a commitment to a date before the end of this year is more than a pinky promise. I think it is a political calculation that puts the American people first, that I believe we can get those votes from Republicans, but it's also a political calculation that if Republicans are willing to go on the record and vote no against their constituents, as a reminder, Republican senators represent the poorest states in America. They represent the most SNAP recipients in America. They represent the most Medicaid recipients in America. If they are willing to go on the record and vote no to preventing those healthcare premiums from rising, then I think that is absolutely a path to Democrats reclaiming the Senate in 2026.
All right, so I'm going to ask you for a prediction. If I'm going to ask anybody about predictions, I like to ask pollsters about predictions. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been making her rounds, she's been very critical, openly critical of Trump, openly critical of Republicans on this question of ACA subsidies, on the question of lowering costs for everyday Americans. Do you expect Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia to be one of less than a handful of Republican votes that actually vote with Democrats on these ACA subsidies, extending them for a year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
This is a More Perfect Union exclusive?
I do. I do suspect that you will. I don't know what Marjorie Taylor Greene is up to. We all see her moderating her positions, changing her public profile. I don't know what Marjorie Taylor Greene is up to, but I do know that there are several Republicans who have been on the record, who understand the needs of their constituents, oftentimes very poor constituents. And two things are clear to me, Doctor. The 2026 election, I know we're going to talk about last week's election, but two things are very clear to me from that last election. The next election will continue to be about cost. And the only issue that could be as important as cost is healthcare, specifically healthcare cost. Mm-hmm. And so we saw Democrats last week, unify around a message around a cost crisis, a healthcare crisis, and a Trump crisis. All three of those things will be back on the ballot in November of 2026. And Democrats would be smart to make that bet now and make Republicans line up on one side of the line.
Well, speaking of the ballot, we know just last week there were a number of Dems up and down the ballot that performed very well. It was the shot in the arm the Democratic base desperately needed in light of the 2024 election, where the country appeared to lurk to the right and reelect Donald Trump to a second term. Zoran Mandami making news after filling 2 top posts with government veterans and a trusted aide. It's been reported by the New York Times that the mayor-elect made his first major appointments to his administration, tapping Dean Fulahan, a well-known veteran of city and state government, to be his top deputy in City Hall, his deputy mayor, and tapping another veteran to serve as his chief of staff. Talk to us about what this is signaling based upon the critique that Zoran had throughout the election cycle of being too young and too inexperienced. Talk to us about what he is signaling quick, fast, and in a hurry, and what Democrats across the country can learn from him.
Yeah, look, I mean, Zoran was able to run a campaign that was laser focused on Americans' #1 issue, and which is cost and the rising price of things. And he was able to do that in the most expensive city in America. While it's very clear to me that New York is not, necessarily a representation of the full American electorate, it does represent where that pain, the cost, the pain of cost is the most severe. And what we saw Zoran do that I think was unique. While we saw every Democrat on the ballot unify around cost, we saw Zoran present a very innovative, robust, experimental agenda, things that we have never seen before, things we've never tried before. And I think that there's a lot of criticism now about whether or not he would be able to deliver on those things. But I think what we saw New Yorkers reward was his willingness to try, right? People are not willing to do the same old thing and get the same result. They want to try something new. They're rewarding politicians that are prepared to experiment and try something new, especially young people. Zoran was able to turn out 41% of voters under the age of 30, 41%. In the last mayoral election, only 11% of voters under the age of 30 voted. That is a 370% increase. That is what Democrats must inspire in 2026, the robust multiracial coalition, but more importantly, young people that far too often drop out of midterm elections.
Is there a Mamdani effect? Are you seeing that in your polling research? Are we starting to see a Mamdani effect, not just in New York, but throughout the country?
I do believe that there is a young generation of leaders that has been waiting their turn, that has been waiting to take their rightful place in the body politic and are done waiting. For the first time ever, Hit Strategies, my company, is representing 2 candidates that are challenging incumbents, specifically Congressional Black Caucus incumbents. I am a product of the Congressional Black Caucus. These have been my heroes my entire life. But at some point, the fight requires more. And in places like Washington, D.C., where home rule is under attack, where Donald Trump is attacking the citizens of D.C., quite literally invading the city, one of my greatest heroes in politics, Eleanor Holmes Norton, may not be up for that fight right now. And so I'm prepared to support a candidate like Robert White, who I think is prepared to take on that fight. And similarly, in a place like Georgia, where Congressman David Scott has served almost as long as I've been alive, is now being challenged by several impressive, young, diverse candidates, including one by the name of Everton Blair, former president of the DeKalb School Board. Gwinnett School Board. And so there are young candidates young leaders that I believe are prepared to take their rightful place in the body politic. And I believe that American politics will never be the same when, when 52% of the electorate are millennial and Gen Z today, 52%, but only 12% of Congress is millennial or Gen Z. When Congress looks like the generational composition of America, when 52% of Congress is millennial and Gen Z, we won't be having these conversations about premiums and healthcare, and we will solve these problems because I believe young people are prepared to try some new things, just like Zoran is doing in New York.
And speaking of trying new things, what are you hearing? What chatter are you hearing from the House of Representatives? What chatter are you hearing, particularly among Congressional Black Caucus members, who, quite frankly, they understood the assignment as it relates to this government shutdown? They were a strong no. What do you know about what CBC members in the House are thinking and what their focus will be, not just in Washington, but as they fan out and go back into their districts across the country, and they continue the conversation with their constituents in hopes that they can keep their constituents engaged and keep them from throwing up their hands and giving up on the future that is possible in 2026.
Look, Leader Jeffries has put out a statement that he will continue to vote no as long as until there is a guarantee to cap healthcare premiums. The Congressional Black Caucus has signaled the exact same thing. Several of the members of caucus that I have talked to are very fervent in their position because they feel convicted from what they're hearing from their voters that understand the fight that they are taking, and more importantly, voters that just appreciate them taking up the fight. And so they have to continue fighting, but they also have to continue to expose what's really at stake here. Look, there are things buried in these continued resolutions that we have to continue to expose, like senators, including a $500,000 stipend for any senator whose phone records were subpoenaed during the January 6 investigations. Why are senators writing themselves $500,000 checks while the president of the United States is suing in the Supreme Court to not pay poor children's, to not pay for poor family SNAP benefits so that children can eat? This is crazy, and the American people would be outraged if they knew it. And that is what is incumbent upon all of the members, but especially the Black members who are on the right side of history, who are taking the right vote. And now they got to go out and communicate the right things.
Should Jasmine Crockett run for Senate in Texas?
I think Jasmine Crockett is one of the most dynamic, prolific young leaders in the party. When I go around the country, I sit in focus groups and I ask the same question everywhere, Doctor. I ask Democrats, who is fighting for you? And in group after group, I hear voters tell me nobody. They feel abandoned. They feel like no one is fighting for them. But when I probe and I say, but if you had to name some, I know you're frustrated with the whole party, but if you had to name somebody, who was fighting for you? And I get the same names in every room. I get AOC, I get Jasmine Crockett, I get Gavin Newsom. And so I think that those three leaders should be considering how they can continue that fight in the next iteration of their careers, wherever that may go. And I know Jasmine Crockett is considering those options. Because I represent Jasmine, I may know more than I'm allowed to share here.
All right, we're gonna leave it there. But when you're ready to share even more, you are welcome back to do exactly that, as is she. Our thanks to Terrence Woodbury, the co-founder of Hit Strategies, always has his finger on the pulse of what is happening, what's being said, more importantly, what's not being said. That's what we really
appreciate you, Doctor. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to come back anytime.
You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Flight delays and cancellations are continuing even after the Senate voted to end the record shutdown.
I received several texts from airline executives over the weekend before we got news that the shutdown might be ending, saying that they were quite worried for their businesses. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the shutdown has already hurt operations, with the FAA cutting flights since Friday, affecting many Black Americans. President Trump is pitching a revived Trump Care plan to replace Obamacare, calling the current system a disaster. He says his plan would let people buy their own insurance through personal accounts.
And Charlemagne the God and Roland Martin are feuding over misinformation in black media after Charlemagne named Martin as his donkey of the day. The clash began when Martin called Charlemagne's shutdown comments beyond idiotic. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Pasadena stalled big rig 210 westbound before Lake. 2 right lanes have been blocked. Delays away from Rosemead Boulevard, the Cahuenga Pass. 101 northbound before Barham. Another stall. 2 middle lanes blocked here. Delays away from Hollywood Boulevard. Let's also look at the southbound side of the 101. This is getting out of Calabasas. That drive remains slow, well, heavy at least, away from Lost Hills, all the way to the 170, 134 split. Little crowded through the Cahuenga Pass, slowing in Hollywood, sunset into downtown Los Angeles.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Dallas Mavericks owner Patrick Dumont needs to be put on blast. Tuesday morning, Dumont fired Mavs general manager Nico Harrison, one of 12 black GMs in the NBA. Dumont fired Harrison because the trade Harrison made last season with the Lakers, Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic, has been a disaster for the Mavericks. The Mavs are 3-8 and Davis is hurt again. Meanwhile, the Lakers are 8-3 and Luka is balling, averaging 37.1 points. Yes, Harrison did reach out to Lakers GM Rob Pelinka to discuss the trade, but Dumont signed off on the deal before it was finalized. No trades in any sport are made without ownership approval. The real crime committed by Dumont is that he let Harrison take all the abuse and death threats from angry Mavs fans upset about losing Luka. Dumont never talked to the media to let the fans know that it was his decision to trade Luka. Harrison now knows what kind of person he was working for. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay!
The Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center proudly presents its 27th annual Real Black Men Short Film Showcase. Join us Saturday, October 25th at the Writers Guild Theater, 135 South Doheny Drive in Beverly Hills, California. This showcase will feature over 20 films by emerging black male filmmakers from across the country, ready to let their stories be seen, voices be heard, and visions come to life. Saturday, October 25th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tickets are on sale now on eventbrite.com. For more information, call 323-957-4656 or email bherc@bherc.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetic unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on
You
KBLA
are
Talk
listening to
1580.
More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to be in conversation with the one and only Marlon Wayans, who is coming to a city near you. He's coming to a city near you. A number of stand-up shows that are coming that you may want to check out. I'm going to try and check you out December 5th through the 7th in Oxnard, California, but you're going to be in other places across the country. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
And so, Marlon, you are a comedian that we've been able to rely on for a laugh for a long time. Talk to us about your source of funny in challenging times.
I think it's the challenging times, but I think it's challenging myself. The challenging times, I don't look at the world. I look internally. I've been through challenging times, because when you get in your 40s and your 50s, life be lifing. When you lose your parents, you really have to search and struggle to find smiles. So now everything that I write about, for the most part, it comes from pain. And then I find the funny in that pain. And what's crazy is that's actually more relevant than even talking about the state of the world.
I know you were really close to your mom. I also know that it was a beautiful sight to see when you and your family were honored earlier this year at the NAACP in the Hall of Fame during the NAACP Image Awards. How did it feel for your family to get that kind of recognition that, quite frankly, I don't think you all have gotten your full recognition in terms of your contribution to the funny, your contribution to American culture and beyond?
Well, I think for us is it was definitely an honor, and for to be honored by your people, and having an impact like that. We don't think about it because we're just so busy doing the work and so busy trying to do right by our parents and God and each other that we don't think about the work we're doing and how it affects the world and how it affects the culture and how it affects our people. And it's good to know that, just like the Jacksons, these big entertainment families that influenced us, the Jacksons, the DeBarges, even the Osmonds, who are white, a family's a family and it's colorless. And we all come from a family. So to be able to be honored for that is great. And we're just trying to keep those traditions alive, and it actually united us. We're doing Scary Movie 6 together, me, Sean, and Keenan. And that's something my parents kind of asked me to do before they passed. It was like, my dad was like, you guys should make sure you work together again. I was like, oh, no, Dad, I'm tired of those Negroes. My dad was like, just trust me, son, just do it. And I was like, all right, for you, I'm gonna do it. And we did it, and we're doing it. And man, this movie is absolutely hilarious. So I can't wait for y'all to see that. And also my stand-up. Like, now my stand-up is pulled from my life and from the trials and the tribulations of the failures in my life, or things that have impacted me. And I think you should see my show. I'm going to be in Oxnard on December, I think, 4th through 6th. And then I'm going to be in Ontario, and then I'm going to be in Brea. So check marlonwayans.com and see where I'm at.
We're definitely going to come out and catch you. Also, the next Scary Movie installment comes out July 12th, 2026. That's when the film is scheduled to be released. You will be on screen with Sean, currently in production in Atlanta.
Yes, sir. I'm actually late for work because I'm talking to you.
Well, I don't want to make you late. My thanks to Marlon Wayans for joining us. Please come back again. And like I said, we're going to see you in Oxnard, California when you're around the corner.
Let's do it. All right.
All right. Take good care. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Struggle to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance. helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We are elated to be in conversation with comedian, actor, multi-hyphenated Marlon Wayans. Marlon, we talked a little bit about some of the work that you have upcoming, some of your stand-up comedy. We know we're going to be in Oxnard rooting you on and enjoying a good laugh in December. But you also have one of our favorite movies, Scary Movie, coming out next year. We're going to be looking for that. But you've been busier than a beaver. You're also guest starring again on the 4th season of Bel-Air. What's it like being a part of sort of the next iteration of that that groundbreaking show? You know, that launched the career of Will Smith and so many other people.
I'm always excited that they allow me to, when I get to do roles where I get to stretch and, and flex my dramatic chops and, remind people that I'm actually an actor. Before I was a writer, before I was a comedian, I was an actor. Studied for years. And, I think that's just what makes me different. And to be a part of that show, I was a fan of the Fresh Prince. Not as much of a fan as Wayans Brothers, but we was all on at the same time. But, when Will called me to do this role, I remember that what a great episode it was with him and Ben Vereen. And I was like, I think that, and he sent me the script and I was like, I got a take on this character. And Lou is something different and special, and can't wait for people to see what he does this year. He always whenever Lou's on the show, he always turns up. It always gets interesting.
That's right, to say the least. And speaking of interesting, you turned a lot of heads not too long ago, where it was reported that you were going to be playing Richard Pryor in a biopic. Is that true? And if so, what's the status of that film?
It's not true. And if it ever happens, I would love to do it. That's a passion project of mine. But we'll see what happens. Your lips to God's ears, but it's not happening as of yet. It's just been a very difficult film to make, and for some reason the rights, and it's just a lot. Some of these biopics. So if God has it in His cards to play Richard, great. If not, I'm grateful to Richard Pryor, because I remember when I auditioned for that, and I actually did have the role. And before the director switched and the script changed, so but the role of Pryor brought me to the stage. I started doing stand-up comedy because I was supposed to play Richard Pryor, and I'm gonna play the greatest comedian ever. Got to stay my black ass on the stage. And then the movie went away, and I was like, look at God. I said, I always wanted to, instead of play a great, I want to be a great. And now I'm on this journey. I'm on my 6th stand-up special I'm working on, and I feel like I'm just getting in a very special place.
Wow. Well, are there any figures or living or dead aside from the great Richard Pryor that you set your eyes on, where you're like, wow, before I leave this world, I really would love the opportunity to give my take on so and so's life?
I don't know, but for some odd reason, I want to do the Sugar Ray Robinson story. I don't know why.
Really?
And I mean, at 53, I don't know. My bones will be hurting after. But that's a movie that intrigues me, because he was the greatest before the greatest. So I would love to play something like that, to be that great during that time. And so one day.
One day. On the family side of the house, Marlon, you have been really an outspoken ally in support of your trans son. Talk to us about how you have continued that support and that advocacy, even as, the trans community has felt sort of under attack in the current climate. Talk to us about what it means to you to be an ally outside of the ballot box, right? We know that that's a part of the equation, but that's not all of it, right?
Mhm.
And I just want to give you your flowers, because in the media we don't see a lot of examples, of particularly Black dads that are out front and outspoken in support of their trans Black kids. And you are one of them, and we are proud of you. And so talk to us about
Thank you.
being an ally in this moment.
Well, I mean, I think it's important that first and foremost you be a father, right? And you honor your child and love your child, and know that you are not God. There's only one God, and only God can judge. And so let Him judge, and your job is to love. And for me to hate on any sect of people is wrong. God brought me here to love, and that's what I'm going to do. And blindly, and I have a lot of gay friends, and I went to performing arts high school. And so at the end of the day, man, I don't judge anybody. And I'm always gonna crack my jokes, because that's just what am, and my gay friends understand that I'm gonna have my jokes, and they gonna have theirs. And but at the end of the day, we're all people. We all bleed the same. We all connect the same. And I think it's important as a father that you stay proud of your child and you protect your child, because they do come out under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of it's a lot of hate right now. And that's my baby, and I'm always gonna love my child. There's nothing that anybody can ever do to twist my arm and make me not love my child or the community. So it's all love, and I wish more people would embrace their child. Much rather have a live son than a dead daughter. A lot of people don't understand the struggle and the battles that those young people go through. And so there's a lot of suicide. The suicide rate in that for youths in that community is huge. And why would you ever want people to off themselves and feel bad? And that's not what we're here for. That is not what this life experience is for. This life experience is to find love and laughter, and that's all I try to do.
Has laughter throughout the acceptance process, the transformation process, if you will, has that made this
for sure,
all the more memorable experience for you and the family?
For sure, because for me, and I think stage is my therapy. And when I can do it on a stage and I can talk about it and people walk through it with me, they're like, oh, wow, this is a real life person that's going through this real life thing, and look at what they got from this experience. And I actually had a beautiful hour. I was going to film a special recently, and I decided not to for a second because I wanted to have a conversation with my child, make sure that they're good with it. Because end of the day, first foremost, I'm a father, not an artist, and I don't want to walk with that kind of creative narcissism. I think it's important that I go have a conversation with my child. I mean, like their anonymity, so I gotta respect that. So
are there certain, as a comedian though, are there certain ethics that govern just sort of how you deliver jokes, or who you joke about, what you joke about? We know there have been a lot of headlines about other comedians who have made jokes, particularly trans jokes, that people feel are sort of punching down as opposed to punching up. Do you think about that as you're creating your art on the stage?
I think that first, like I think, okay, so jokes are subjective, and some people are just sensitive people. I find that gay people and trans people have pretty good sense of humor, but I do think that they've been punched down on so much that they can be a little defensive, and I think that hurts some of the for comedians, because we're actually very we don't like we're like authority. We don't like to be told what to do. We don't like when somebody doesn't like the joke. Yeah, well, now I'm gonna joke harder on you just so until you get the joke, because we want you to be less sensitive. And I think a comedian's always trying to bring people together. That laugh is the thing that brings us together. So I do think that some comedians get, I remember when I was talking to Chappelle. Chappelle was a dear friend of mine. He felt really upset because he felt like they didn't get the joke. They didn't understand what he was saying, and he got doubly offended because his intentions were actually to bring and bond everybody. And sometimes it's all misinterpretation, because from sender to receiver, sometimes there's noise. I learned that in communication and speech class. And so when you're telling a joke, it's the most pure form of communication. And sometimes there's noise. And that noise is, I'm being defensive about this, and I'm just trying to do this. And, then you got the noise of social media. So people aren't getting the joke. But for me, in this situation, I'm coming from my experience, the truth that I went through. And I think my truth, people can see the real perspective as a father that's been through this. Dave doesn't have the same connection and connectivity. And, but I get what I know Dave. He had nothing but great intentions. And at the end of the day, listen, people gonna tell their jokes. People gonna tell their jokes. I always tell my kids, you do something, believe me, daddy gonna have some jokes. So you don't want no jokes, don't do no dumb shit. It's dumb stuff. You do dumb stuff. Daddy gonna have jokes. The world's gonna have jokes. And what you need to do is strap yourself with a great sense of humor. No matter what you do in your life, have a great sense of humor. Black people, that is one of our gifts that have made us survive a lifetime in this country, is the fact that, man, we have learned to laugh at each other, laugh at our circumstances, laugh at the world, and not be sensitive. That is part of survival, is laughter. So strap yourself with a great sense of humor. I think laughter is necessary, and there is no things that's off base. When it comes to comedy, hey man, somebody got to go in these dark caves and find these jokes. And so this is my job. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be respected. So you got to respect the fact that at least I'm going in those rooms to talk about these topics, to make this a social conversation. Because without it, then what do you have? Continued hate.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're sure glad that we get a chance to get into the funny and strap up at a
or on.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
You started that.
We'll be looking for you in Oxnard, California, December 5th through the 7th. Go to marlonwaynes.com for tickets. Thank you for your work and your witness, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
You've been listening
God
to a
bless.
More Perfect Union on KBLA. And so, yes, that is a More Perfect Union. That's all the time we have. I hope you've enjoyed this interview with the one and only Marlon Wayans. I found him to be quite candid during our conversation. We talked about a lot. We covered a lot of ground. And again, he's going to be performing on the stage in Oxnard, California. If you go to marlonwayans.com, you can see all the places he's performing across the country. But who doesn't enjoy watching any Wayans on the stage? They are funny to the bone. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village helps us produce a More Perfect Union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Brother Andy, to our show producers, Art, Faraji, and Journey, and of course, each and every one of you. We curate the show every single day with you in mind. We hope you feel the love that we put in it. Remember, don't panic. Don't you do it. Don't do it. Organize. Don't panic. Organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Fascism, military occupation, and cuts to the veteran services many Black service members rely on. New York City's Black Mayor Eric Adams will travel to Israel Friday to discuss combating anti-Semitism with government and tech leaders. He returns Tuesday and says the trip will be, quote, fun, end quote. And Black TikTok creator